Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Very talkative this morning. This is a good start, guys. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, it's very early. Very early.
Yeah, 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Woo. Haven't seen that time for many months.
I know.
Yeah. So,
Well,
I was just going to say, are we going to have term?
Yes, thank you. Did you?
Well,
Yes.
It was the week before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Have I been asleep for a week?
We've been at school for a week already. How did your week back at school go?
Oh, well, that's a good point, because I was at school on Monday.
Yes.
Well done, Matt.
Everyone, Matt is still having to go back to school, so we'll just leave that one there. So last week, if you remember, we finished Mark. Wow. That was a long time. 6 weeks, 16 weeks. So we have moved on, and we are going to look at the book of Philippians, which is one of the letters in the New Testament. And we decided to choose this one because we think it could be really helpful for us. There's some practical tips and advice and things, and it could be really useful for us to learn some things from.
So we've for the next kind of 5 weeks in the lead up to Easter, we've kind of drawn out 5 kind of different parts of Philippians that we want to look at, and so this morning we are blessed to have the Tates read from Philippians 2 in the Message version. So if you've got a Message version, might be worth turning to in that, or you can go to an online Bible and they will have the Message version. But Philippians 2, starting at verse 1.
If you've gotten anything at all out of following Christ, if his love has made any difference in your life, if being in a community of the Spirit means anything to you, if you have a heart, if you care, then do me a favour. Agree with each other, love each other, be deep-spirited friends. Don't push your way to the front, don't sweet-talk your way to the top. Put yourself aside and help others get ahead. Don't be obsessed with getting your own advantage. Forget yourselves long enough to lend a helping hand.
Think of yourselves the way Christ Jesus thought of himself. He had equal status with God, but didn't think so much of himself that he had to cling to the advantages of that status, no matter what. Not at all. When the time came, he set aside the privileges of deity and took on the status of a slave, became human. Having become human, he stayed human. It was an incredibly humbling process. He didn't claim special privileges. Instead, he lived a selfless, obedient life, and then died a selfless, obedient death, and the worst kind of death at that, a crucifixion.
Because of that obedience, God lifted him high and honoured him far beyond anyone or anything ever, so that all created beings in heaven and on earth, even those long ago dead and buried, will bow in worship before this Jesus Christ, and call out praise that he is the master of all, to the glorious honour of God the Father.
So, thank you for the Tates for that very lovely reading. So we're now just going to have a look. We're going to break it down a little bit and have a look into it. So in verses 1 to 4, we can see that Paul tells us about the attitudes that we and the Philippians need to have in order to show our love towards God. He asks us not to put ourselves first, not like put us at the front of it all, but to step aside and to put others first, to be selfless and remember others' needs before our own.
And so then in the next bit, in verses 5 to 8 or 5 to 11, Paul then makes his point, reiterates his point by using Jesus as an example, and says how Jesus is the ultimate example of putting other people before ourselves and thinking above others, by the fact that Jesus was equal to God, and he was with God in heaven, and they were equal, but yet he didn't consider that something to be important, and he was willing to put that down, put that aside, and come down to earth to be a human and to live on earth with us sinners and things like that. and even to wash people's smelly feet. Like, he was willing to even do that. Like, I mean, are we willing to serve others in that way?
I don't even like being around my own feet when they're smelly.
So, I mean, that was what Jesus, like the lengths that Jesus went to. And then ultimately, Jesus laid his life down on the cross for us so that we could be forgiven. And that was the ultimate example of putting the whole world before himself.
Yeah, and then so in this passage, like, Paul is challenging us that our attitude should reflect our love for Jesus. And he's writing here to the church in Philippi, who obviously needed telling that their attitude wasn't quite right. And I think this is applicable to us as well. Okay, so none of us have a perfect attitude. I'm sorry, Rachel and Chloe, you don't have a perfect attitude. I don't know if that was news, but I just thought I'd say no. All of us have treated someone badly, or have kind of been selfish at some point, or kind of put someone else down to kind of make ourselves feel better. And this isn't a Christ-like attitude. Okay, we won't always get it right, but Paul in this passage is challenging us, each and every one of us, to kind of check our own attitude and to be more like Jesus. Okay, to show, like, we have to be able to show that we love Jesus through the way that we treat other people, and that's a real challenge. And I mean, we don't always get it right. Sometimes it's just too early in the morning.
Or we just haven't had our food.
A Weetabix and an early morning, like, lack of them, is that an excuse not to have a Christ-like attitude?
No, Jesus managed 40 days in the desert without food.
Anyway,
I thought you were going to say without Weetabix. That would have been hilarious. But it's a real challenge, isn't it, of this idea of the way that we treat people is very much a reflection of our love for God, and the way we treat people should reflect our love for God.
Mm-hmm.
I find that very challenging.
It is, not easy.
No.
So I think we should pray.
Just
going to put it out there. Rachel, would you mind praying for us?
Go on then.
Excellent.
God, we thank you that you put everything aside and you came down to earth to be a human and join us and forgive us for all our sins and everything. We ask that you help us in those areas and allow us to have some of those attitudes like you have, and help us in some of the areas we might struggle with on some of those bad mornings. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Oh, that prayer spoke to me.
We have a bit of a challenge activity for you. It's more of an activity than a challenge, and it's something that we want you to do kind of along with the video, okay, to try and help us think about our attitudes and how we treat other people. So what we are going to do is there's going to be, I think if I've got this right of how we've worked it out, there's going to be some music, that kind of thing going on, and then the music will stop and a couple of ways you might treat someone will come up on the screen, okay? And you as a family can do this if you're wherever you are, whether you're around your table or around your lounge or whatever. And when the music stops, we want you to choose one of those ways that you could talk to someone or you could greet to someone. So it could be greeting them in a nice, happy way. It could be greeting them in an angry way or in a sad way or annoyed. Okay, but you're not going to tell anyone which one you choose. And then you're going to talk to your family in that way. Okay, and see how it makes people feel, how they're being spoken to.
Like, only for a short time. Like, if you pick angry, don't be angry all day.
Yes.
Just please. Thanks.
Just challenge.
Okay, and then have a go at it, and then the music might then stop again and start again, and we might do a few rounds of it.
Yeah, and pick a different one. Yeah. See how this goes.
So let's go. Yeah. So let's play some music. I don't know whether you noticed, but some of those attitudes or ways you could speak weren't particularly Christ-like. So I hope you haven't actually upset anyone and that everyone is still kind of friends. So have a go at these ones and try and be a bit more Christ-like in the way that you might answer in some of these ways.
So kind of as you've done that, and as you kind of reflect on it, we really encourage you to really think next time you kind of speak to someone, greet someone, really think about how your attitude towards them. Like we said earlier, it's quite tough, but actually, it's really important that we have a Christ-like attitude with other people.
Cool. So we hope you've enjoyed this week, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah. We still got clubs on and stuff, haven't we? This week. Yeah.
On this coming week, it will just be the Bible study on Tuesday, and then the Fun Thursdays will be in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. And all the youth stuff is back up and running. The chaos, the bullying mat sessions.
Restarted.
I don't know why I restarted them. Honestly, it's an hour and a half of just being bullied.
Yeah.
It's fine. I have a Christ-like attitude. I'm humble and kind to those young. I'm not. I'm really not. Maybe that's where I can start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
And maybe where they can start too, Matt.
I'm not going to hold my breath, but yes. Yeah. I'll put it towards them.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll listen. But yeah, if you need us, guys, please do get in touch. And obviously, in light of announcements that have been made, we will do our best to communicate with you, as and when we make decisions.
Cool.
Have a lovely week.
Bye.